Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. All I'm going to say today is boom. that's what uranium did. Boom. Anyway, we're going to go through our daily technical analysis update. We're going to go over commodities. We're going to go through the dollar, 10-year yield, work our way through precious metals and so on. But uranium definitely booming today. Money flows coming on in. I know people always want a reasoning for the move. I'm not exactly sure the reasoning. I didn't look, but I did see the results of the move. They look pretty big. We'll cover that today. And again, I'm releasing my midweek update for all you Platinum members on the website in the description link below. We'll talk about some of my favorite companies and some of the companies that I would be looking at and what I'm doing to add in today. And I'll let you guys know what my opinions are on the uranium stocks. If you guys are looking at uranium stocks, I can add that as well, which I'll do. But we'll go through it. We'll jump in here and I'll give you my financial opinion. So here is DXY, the dollar. The dollar was basically flat today. We're squeezing up against this resistance line. And again, that resistance line from a longer term perspective is right up on this line here. We used it as support and resistance a few times, and we're right up underneath it. And the dollar usually heads lower in a commodity bull market with increasing inflation from the real estate market. We've got stimulus money in this market. We've got stimulus money all over the place around the world. And we've got problems in an energy crisis over in Europe. So that is having an impact on currencies over in Europe, Japan, over there. Their energy markets are kind of messed up. And perhaps that's why the DXY is a little bit stronger than the rest. But more or less, we were sideways today. The 10-year yield continuing higher right at that trend line, and it looks like we're turtle heading out. We got to obviously close above it. A strong closing would mean that we could be going higher on the 10-year yield. That yield, there's a line going across here that is our 10-year yield line here. Let me hit auto there. This is our 10-year yield resistance line. If we can break through this and close above it, we could see higher yields. It's basically a breakout from this resistance area. Do I think that's going to happen? Yes, I do. The 10-year yield is very highly correlated to oil. And oil, I think, will break higher soon. So that's what we're looking at for the 10-year yield. We've got flat dollar 10-year yield. I think that we're probably going to see a flat precious metals price under these conditions, and that's what we saw today. We're seeing continued selling pressure in bond prices. It's not a huge sell-off. It's more or less probably a controlled market. There's probably someone in there buying this stuff up, slowing the move. That's my guess. If you look at the 30-year yield, that is rocketing higher, up 2%. So the yields are heading higher. I think energy's the driver of it. We're in an energy crisis, and I think this will continue higher over time. What that means is major ramifications for the flows of money. Money flows with increasing interest rates into commodities and precious metals. I've said this since 2020. That's why I positioned so heavily in energy stocks, natural gas, oil particularly, and uranium for this bull market that's coming. And precious metals, I think, will do incredibly well. I understand people look at the short term and they say, oh, precious metals are down. That's kind of when you want to buy them, is when they're down. I mean, that's my opinion, not advice by any means. But big long-term break on yields. I think that's going to change the paradigm of how people look at assets and how assets are priced in the markets. And if that is a fact of how people are pricing assets based off of an increasing interest rate environment, I think that the way that this channel is positioned for commodities and precious metals will do incredibly well and do things that people aren't used to doing, which means decades can happen in years. For returns, that is. We've got the CRB index. That is continuing higher today. We are flirting with this breakout of this resistance line. I'm going to snug it up just a little bit. And we're starting to break out today. We're turtle heading out of this thing. That's good. Commodities are breaking on higher. They're looking strong. Let's hope that momentum can continue going forward. Gold is looking better. We've broken out of this downtrend line, using it as a retest. So we broke out. We're retesting back to support, and that is where I like things. I like to buy things off support of a retest or back test of the breakout. So gold's doing that right now. Silver's getting a little bit, it's firming up, trying to put in a bottom here. That looks good with the broken downtrend line. And platinum also is right on that support line. I like support lines. So I would be looking at platinum here myself. XAU to gold, that is heading higher, which means the gold and silver miners are starting to come back to life and starting to outperform the precious metals themselves. That means that people are positioning in gold and silver mining companies before the price move in precious metals. So I do think that we're trying to bottom here. I do think that this is a good spot to be looking. If you guys want the specifics on what companies, yep, in the website description link below if you want to know. But we've got higher lows coming up. We just got to break this big trend line. Looking at SILJ is heading higher today, 4.19%. It's looking good. It's bouncing off that resistance support line down here. So that's looking very good. Broken downtrend. You could even say that this has a falling wedge pattern, and it looks really good for a move higher. Looks fantastic. GDX doing the same thing. I think we'll start to see work our way slowly to the upside. And if the buyers decide to come in, it could be a lot less slowly, but a lot more quickly that we do it. Scrolling down to crude oil ending higher today. We were basically breaking through this resistance area yesterday. We've continued that momentum up. It finished very strong today. I like the looks of this, guys. It looks really strong. And natural gas also being quite resilient. I said yesterday that we had a bearish piercing pattern yesterday, which we did have. We were down today, but the buyers came in. So we came down, and then the buyers came in and we held our line. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. This is looking positive. The sellers didn't really push us much lower. I think they're getting tired up here, and the buyers are ready to take this thing higher. That's great for anybody who's a oil and gas investor. And the exploration production companies, they're continuing higher. This is XOP, the ETF. This is looking quite strong, guys. All we need to do is get moving to the upside, keep this momentum rolling, and I think we could see some pretty crazy moves ahead of us this winter. So that looks good. OIH is the energy service companies. They're also putting in a pretty strong pattern here on a monthly candlestick. Zooming in on the dailies, they still look good with momentum going higher. We've broken out of this resistance line. I'm just going to say A-OK. Looks good. A-OK. Looking at uranium. And I was talking about uranium yesterday, how the future prices is going sideways. We call this the dead period. If I were to scroll out and get the weeklies just so you guys can see it, we're just going sideways here. This is a coiling up before a move higher. It always goes into a dead period, usually, and then we rocket. Just like this one. This is a dead period, then we rocket. Dead period, rocket. Looks like people are positioning in the mining companies, very much so, double digits across the board. This is a bullish engulfing of like everything before it. This is hyper bullish, guys. I really like the way this looks. We were talking about it yesterday of the support, why I like buying off support levels. If you're a platinum membership from the website, we've been talking a lot about how to identify bottoming type patterns, what I look for in the candlesticks, support levels, why I buy off support levels. We talk about that stuff. This is why, because the buyers come in and then they do a launch, they do a boom. So this looks really good. It finished very strong at the end of the day today. This momentum will probably continue. I say probably. We're working with statistics and probabilities. Will probably continue into tomorrow. But it is a very strong day. It looks very good, and I saw some pretty good volume on a lot of these moves. URNM was also exercising its bounce off this support line. It went into support, coiled its legs, and the buyers came in a big way today. This is very good for uranium. Obviously, it's very, re-inspiring, because we've been kind of chopping down and sideways for a good time, and now we're finally getting some buying pressure. We're getting the volume to come in. It's good. And CCJ also, I said yesterday we had a large selling pressure here. We had 2 up days, and I wanted to see what it did today. I didn't think we were going to go launching like this, but that's why I'm a long-term investor. I don't try to time this short-term market stuff. I knew we broke the downtrend. I knew this was a pretty good entry point in here. I wanted to see the buyers step in, but I didn't think the buyers would step in this big. This is pretty inspiring. It's good. And if you look across the board, they're all double-digit gains, guys. This is big. Very big money flows coming in there. TAN looking good. We've got Invesco Solar. Again, I like this setup here. I think this is going to go higher. I've been saying it for past couple of weeks before, basically when we were breaking out back here is when I was saying we should be looking at this. So I think that looks good as well. Everything energy related is looking fantastic. COPX basically putting in the bloody nose, small little down day today. I still think this is going to go higher. We've broken the downtrend. We are developing this sideways base, kind of moving sideways to slightly higher, and I think we're going to continue that move higher. So that's looking good. The CRB to S&P 500, basically flat today. Looks good for the most part. We could see the S&P 500 head higher. We'll look at the charts here in a little bit on that. REMX heading higher, still looking good. We've broken out of this pattern of the squeezing. Long-term wise, though, this thing looks fantastic. We had a little pause here. We're getting a little pause here. It's roughly the same time frame, and then we'll break higher as we put in electric vehicles and renewables, and we need these rare earth metals. Lithium getting a little bit of selling pressure today. Slightly lower, but again, still doesn't look horrible. Above all these broken trend lines, just let it run. Let it make you money. Looking at the S&P 500, we were basically flat. We can see a slowdown in momentum, opening and closing price coming down to the same area, and we're starting to get a little bit of buying pressure here. We'll see if we go higher. I don't really have any skin in the game in the S&P 500. I'm mainly commodities. I should say mainly energy and precious metals, but it is firming up here. Looks like the U.S. Composite Index is also trying to firm up and try to make a move higher. Could we come into a back test here and then roll back over? We very well could, and that's kind of what I'm expecting. And increasing interest rates are a drag on the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. Highly depends on how fast those rates go up and the repricing of these assets when the rates go up. But I'm just kind of indifferent at this time with these. I do think this is going to be kind of a move higher and then maybe possibly a rollover. I have to see what the charts look like and what the buyers and sellers do here over the next couple of days to make that claim. EEM moving sideways. I still like EEM here because you've got the breakout, you've got the retest, and that's really kind of where I start looking to load in. If EEM's breaking out, it almost needs the DXY, the dollar, to turn over against other currencies. And that's usually when EEM basically wakes up and comes alive, is when the DXY loses value against other currencies and people start to pile in to foreign investments because the dollar is underperforming other currencies. Looking at XHB firming up, putting in a bullish engulfing. This does look like it wants to go higher. I think this is looking like a good setup to move on higher. We've broken the downtrend. I don't see anything here to be worried about to the downside, but you know what? I've been humbled many of times before. Looking at lumber was lower today. Lumber's been incredibly volatile. This could head lower even more so. Good for home building costs, I would say, but it could be an indication that we see home starts start to get a little bit weak. Looking down at cocoa futures, I said yesterday about the back test that we could see a bounce here, and I like buying the back test. Here's our bounce today. Looks very strong in cocoa futures. Looking strong in wheat. Wheat starting to turtle head out of its resistance line. We'll probably see a move higher there. Soybeans basically flat, but right at that support level, resistance level. And then corn also heading higher. Now these guys that were higher, the soft commodities, that's going to translate into higher fertilizer prices as well. I think there's some investment opportunities in fertilizer. Those investment opportunities are starting to pass us by as the fertilizer companies are starting to work their way higher already. We've got Moo. Moo is heading on higher, looking good. I like all these green candlesticks in this area, not much selling pressure. All these little guys. I think this looks good to continue higher. Broken down trend line, everything is intact. Longer term, bigger picture view here. We've broken this big consolidation period. This is in moving mode, moving mode, and I think we're going to continue higher. This is kind of just a lead-in pattern before I think a bigger move. Looking at aluminum, aluminum is continuing to put in what I consider to be a bottoming pattern. We're getting some we'll call it firming up and more of a bullish type formation down here. I think we're going to head higher here at any second. So that's looking good. Looking at Baltic Dry Index, there are a lot of fears around China. That's still in the market, but guess what? That's when you want to start taking positions, is when people are fearful and the market is fearful. So if you're a long-term investor, there might be some opportunities there if you're looking in the shipping area. I still like the shipping area I'm still in. So I'm in all these sectors. Uranium, boom, boom, much so to the high, to the upside, looking very good. Nice, strong closing. We had lots of volume there. I think it looks fantastic. I think oil looks fantastic and natural gas looks fantastic. Anything energy related looks fantastic. Even solar looks good. Yeah, I'm not a solar guy at heart. I do own some just because you never know. You never know. But and anything energy related looks great. I'm long all of it, basically. Everything that all these sectors and all these sectors I've talked about, I'm long in. If you guys need help in figuring out, investment vehicles and you want to follow me, the description link below, the Platinum membership will get you that information if you want to see the companies I'm in. I'm sharing my portfolio. You can see the portfolio that I have and the companies that I own. You can see the ones I'm overweight and the ones that I'm just neutral, kind of regular weight on. I have that all in there. I'll do a midweek update. I'll give you my opinion on the individual companies that you may want to watch and the ones that I think are priced very well and that I would be buying at this time. So that's what I've got for today. If you guys like the content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.